upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall walk and not be weary. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. But they that wait, but they that wait, but they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. But they that wait, but they that wait, but they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings as eagles. They shall walk and not be weary. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. But they that wait, but they that wait, but they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. But they that wait, but they that wait, but they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. So wait for the Lord. So wait for the Lord. He will guide and uphold you. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew the strength. So wait for the Lord. So wait for the Lord. He will guide and uphold you. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew the strength, shall renew the strength. But they that wait, but they that wait, but they that wait upon the Lord shall renew the strength, shall renew the strength, shall renew the strength. I just want to sing this song to encourage all Christians, and in fact all humans, that no matter the problem you're facing in this world, God is with you. This song was sung by Stella Dugan, and I don't know why I decided to sing it, but I feel that it will be a blessing to everyone. Amen. Mishemeni mishebenku misheni fa hobu afuobieni ho. Misheme chinsua mini hobu afuobia. Isunkwa na shemi breimu. Inkrana mimwei fribeba. Ewi asima fedie eni breini afikusemi. Amanya mi usumi ayemi dino enti chimitata na shirai womenim ema witi diambia mama fa nyamie chimitata na shirai womenim ema witi diambia mama fa na wasem no chiremese uyo yami. Wasam no chiremese dimhora. Wasam no chiremese uyera yami. Ciao quani meni da sua braboi. Nana yami un quani meni da sua braboi moi. We go. Tata di mi kai così Jojo. Namini obu afobia be mama sunye. Esum edurumi mini obiara. Eina mimu afiri beba. Nananya mi buami. Uni meni da sua. Mimu afiri radie. Tata di mi kain così fie Jojo. Namini obu afobia be mama sunye. Esum edurumi mili obiara. Eina mimu afiri beba. Nananya mi buami. Nananya mi buami. Nananya mi buami. Mimu afri radie. Wine cra no betie mi soufrei. Wine cra no be me free amani nuimu. Wine cra no be mamini mi penso. E ciao quani venira su abraboi. Aragna me quani venira su abraboi moi. Eia wine cra no betie mi soufreia. Eia wine kurano be me free amani nui moi. Wine kurano be mamilia me penswa. Eja un quani venida sua bravo imunana nyame. Un quani venida sua bravo imu. We go. Chimutata di mi kai così fie Jojo. Mini obu afobia be mama sunje. Esum edurumi mini obiara. Eina mimu afiri beba. Nananya mi buami. Uni meni da sua. Mimu afiri radie. For the last time we go. Tata di mi kai così fie Jojo. Namini obu afobia be mama sunje. Come on. Esum edurumi mini obiara. Ehina mimu afiri beba. Nananya mi buami. Uni meni da sua. Mimu afri. Every trade jampon to trubun sunu hot. Enti madonna se me na ye. Mimbu wa free. Keke sike tita. Mimbu wa free radie.
Wow. Good to have you. Wow. Dr. Addaquay, the keyboard wanted to continue playing.
It's in the mood this morning. Hi. King David.
It's good to have you here.
It's a privilege to be here.
Dr. Alfred Patrick Addaquay.
I have heard a lot about you. I've been listening to you and all that. This is the first time I'm meeting you, and I'm very privileged.
It's a pleasure for me to meet you as well.
Invitation.
And thank you for coming. Thank you for honoring our invitation as well. Well, this morning for our personality of the week, we're speaking to the obviously super talented Dr. Alfred Patrick Addaquay. And we're going to find out a little bit about him and his journey to this point. Good morning to you again.
Good morning.
And now, let's let's go back a little bit. Of course, we've seen what you've done this morning, and for those who are watching, so, you may not be a stranger to quite a few people who are watching us this morning, so they know of your prowess. But let's go back. Where were you born?
I was born in Kumerica.
Oh, I see.
Kumasi, yes. Though I'm a fancy, but I was born in Kumasi.
Okay.
Yes. And then because of schooling and all that, I had to be moving around.
Okay.
And now I'm in Accra.
Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay. So now, growing up, the element of music, was there music at home? Was there music in the house?
Yes,
was there music at home?
There was, because my mom was a chorister in the Anglican Church Cathedral. And if I'm not to brag or boast, I would say she was their best soprano singer. In such a way that whenever she's moving anywhere, or whenever the choir is moving anywhere without her, it becomes so difficult.
It's a problem.
Yeah, so when she was pregnant for, let's say, 7 months or so, I was in the womb. Yes, I was with her. And then what happened was that that's what she told me, that it got to a time they had to go to a choir conference. And then without her, they couldn't go. But because she was pregnant, they couldn't do anything about it. But then looking at the how competitive the conference was, it was a competition, a national competition. And then they were supposed to, like Kumasi Diocesan Anglican Choir. And she was their best. So it got to a time they had to come and beg that for though we know you are pregnant, but the way the competition is going, you have to go.
Come with your tummy.
Exactly.
Like that.
and then it was very hard for her to come. But then she made a sacrifice to go. So of course they were first. And then she told me that a certain old woman that she never met again told her that because of this sacrificial job you've done, this child in your womb will become a great musician.
Wow.
Yes.
Fantastic.
So that was a prophecy, and it came to pass.
Fantastic. So how many siblings were you growing up?
Of course, we are 4. I'm the last born. And don't say, Auntie now to me or then. That's what everyone like to say. Yeah, I'm the last born, and I'm the only boy.
Put it this way. The last born.
Yes.
After 3 girls.
Exactly.
Okay, let me reserve my thoughts. I won't say intina or timia or
I know that's what you wanna say. Say it. Can I want to?
Well, there's no apologies to be made, right? Yeah, it is what it is. But then let's talk about education. So where did you go to school?
Yeah, I was in KNUST. Both primary and JHS.
Okay, of course, you grew up in Kumasi.
Exactly,
so
and I was lucky to have a headmistress that encouraged me to study music as a career. You know, it's not very common for a headmistress to encourage a musician. She even honored me after school. Can you imagine? Because headmistresses will be interested in maths and science students.
I mean, we want people to do the regular stuff that
But then she was very keen about my career in such a way that she had to call my parents. I was there one day, she called me to the office and she said, no, I've seen a potential in you. Call your mother for me. She called my parents and told them, my friend, you have to allow your son to enter into music because I know he will become a great musician. So yes, today she's proud of me, Mrs. Theodosia Jackson, sorry. Now, and I moved to Mfantsipim School, you know, Kwabuche, yes. And then I moved to University of Cape Coast where I had my bachelor's, master's, PhD.
All of that.
All in music, yes.
Now, let me ask, was there at any point in time where there was a possibility of doing something else apart from music?
Oh, yes and no. Something else apart from music, yes and no. Because,
what would you have done?
Oh, when I was young, I used to tell myself I'll be a lawyer. Probably because everyone wanted to be a lawyer, doctor, and all that. So I was talking as...
You chose one of those.
And I was just saying it to please my teachers and my friends and people around me, so at least they can leave me to concentrate on my music and know that by all means. But I knew in my heart that I'll become a musician. Yes. Yes.
Talk to us a little bit about the issue of authenticity. You know, following what you perceive to be that greatest calling, that thing that is in you. Because I'm sure that as a child, you didn't really think of it as a calling per se. You just knew that you were drawn to this thing, you know. How important is it for us to stick to that thing that we know that we are passionate about?
You know, though I will be very frank, I'll be very fair and frank that gradually I am also aware that we are moving into the world of, or we are no more in the world of doing work with passion only, you know. People believe that whatever you want to study and do, you can do it well. You don't have to wait till you have the passion. You are passionate
about it necessarily.
But you can even create the passion on your own. That is what we don't teach in the schools. I don't know whether it's not. I don't know how we are able to craft it as a course. I think we must teach passion as a course, because people are very exactly how to develop passion for whatever you do. Because you can be very mechanic and all that. And but I think that whatever you set your mind to do, you must research into it well.
Okay.
And know that you want to take it to the next level. And for instance, myself, for instance, when I got to a certain stage in life, you know, I realized that whatever I want to do, I must be serious with it. I must study it and know all the secrets about it. You know, that's what Beethoven said. Try and know all the secrets about your craft and all that. And I think it has helped me. You know, that is the best I can say. That whatever you are doing, be serious about it. Be hardworking, and then know all the secrets and be passionate about it, and you get to your destination.
This is very interesting. You should say this, because about 13 years ago, I was in transition in my life, and somebody had suggested to me to take up the camera and become a photographer 13 years ago. Now, if you think back 13 years, this was the time when photos were still photos, and it was unattractive.
Not at all.
For a graduate of the university.
Even 10 years, even 8 years ago, it wasn't.
You know, it was unattractive for a graduate to pick up a camera and say that he's been a photographer, right? But I remember speaking to somebody who was a mentor, and he said to me, he started laughing when I said to him I was going to be a photographer. Then I said, oh, I'm serious. I'm not joking. I'm serious. Then you know what he said? Exactly what you said. If you're serious, you will do well. And let's talk about the youth today, okay, in Ghana, and our level of seriousness attached to anything per se. What have you noticed, and what are your comments on that?
You see, I wouldn't blame them. Though I would blame them, I wouldn't blame them. You know, the youth, as at now, they came into a world of, it's a materialistic world. Though the world has always been materialistic.
Yeah, we did. We gave it a world of materialism.
But then, for today, the rate at which the world has been so materialized, the youth feel that there is a certain short way or a shortcut to make it. Especially when you move to, when you are on, I'll come to your question, when you're on social media and you see what others are doing, the cars they are flaunting, the houses and all that, you see. And you realize probably your dad was a teacher. And when he came home, his pension was so small. In fact, he came home with nothing. Maybe your dad was a photographer. Your dad was something else.
But there was very little.
Very little. Out of it. And then you realize that you are even supposed to take care of your dad for now. And you looking at yourself being, I'm just giving an example, being a teacher. You may feel that, no, if I don't take care, and with this kind of, you see, when I was growing, we had respect for professionals. Okay. For instance, when I was growing, even in the school, if you are a math teacher, or a science teacher, and you are very good at teaching, and you are good at what you do, we used to respect you a lot. I mean, we talked about teachers and all that, and there was respect for teachers, not necessarily because you are rich. We had respect for any professional who does his work very well. Not necessarily. Now, these days, it is being like, no matter how you do your work well, whether in music or where, no matter how you do it well, if you are not rich, if you don't have the resources to pull out what you are doing,
you don't have the request.
Exactly.
Sorry, the respect.
Exactly. You don't. You are underestimated. But because of that, the youth is feeling that passion only cannot make you, cannot make you successful. So they feel that apart from the passion. And one thing I've also realized about most Ghanaians is that with what I do, is that as soon as they realize you work with passion, they think you don't need money. That's one thing.
That's true.
As soon as you make them feel you love your work and all that, then they feel because of that, most of the youth, even when they are doing it with passion, they want to hide under the passion thing and think of money. But I think that no matter what, as a person, and if you are a Christian, or even within any religion, or if you are a good human being, you must know that whatever you do, you must be hardworking. It's not all about money, though. Yes, the society wants you to get to a certain level before, but yes, the society is not always supposed to give you what you need, or the society may not necessarily provide for you. And one thing too is that we shouldn't forget that society doesn't really believe in humble beginnings. They want to see a good ending. So as you are working, know that as you have started working, you won't get that kind of respect or recognition you need.
People are waiting to see you in your glory days.
Exactly.
So just keep working and pushing yourself.
And by all means, you get there. And that is where they don't know. I think that's where the youth, I think that's where they are missing out. But no, because probably they have seen some of their mates also, you know, doing well in but absolutely.
I love that.
So you still have to keep on.
Now, you've mentioned hard work about 2 or 3 times. Talk to us about growing up at home. What were some of the principles you saw in your parents that you feel have shaped you in becoming the man you are today?
My mother is an excellent person when it comes to time. My mom doesn't joke with time at all. My time was very bad. Very, very bad. So whenever, I quite remember even, there was a music school that I attended. And for instance, it was supposed to start at 8. And from my house to the music school was like 30 minutes. And you realize by 8 o'clock, I'm still bathing. Then my mom would be like, hey, I mean, can't you see, she was like, you know, in our days, all the mothers were lions. I don't know. These days, mothers have come, but in our days, all of them were it started somewhere in the 70s. So, you know, so what I mean is that she shaped me in terms of timing. Today, it has really helped me because I realized that to be a good musician, your time must work. Imagine this interview, for instance. Imagine I had come, let's say, an hour after the scheduled time.
It's a live show.
Exactly. You can't do about it. I had to come and set up my instrument. So you realize the time I came. And it has helped me. And also, my mom was a hard-working... I'm always mentioning my mom because my dad was with us too, but he was here in Accra working. And then, you know, providing for... So once
you didn't
in a while,
get to see him that
much. Yes, I got to see him after a certain period. So I will say that my mom raised me, and she was so hardworking. She raised about 4 children, including other people's children. And the way she used to work, and she used to tell me that, my friend, yes, I want you to do, if you want to go into music, fine, but I want you to be serious. I don't want you to end up being like those kind of musicians that are not serious, and so I want you to be serious, then do it well, you know. So of course that seriousness also helped me. Yes, and that's what I can say for now. I think the time and the seriousness in work and the hard work and all that, of course, at home, though I was a little bit of a disobedient child, but
let's talk about your career, music. Now, I know I've heard of things like cantata, I've heard of things like oratorios, I've heard of things like concertos. What are they? What are these?
They are all Western classical traditions, you know. A cantata, or let's say an oratorio, concerto, they are all stories. Even a concerto is supposed to be an instrumental work, but it's still a story where it starts with a theme. At times you have to develop the theme and all that. A concerto is like for an orchestra playing against a soloist. So for instance, if it's a flute concerto, it means a flute soloist playing against an orchestra. An oratorio is a biblical story set to music.
I see.
So for instance, the most popular oratorio is Messiah. Hallelujah. By Handel. Exactly. It talks about the life of Christ, his birth, death, resurrection.
So it's taken from the word oratory.
Exactly. Sort of.
I see. You know, so it's a spoken thing.
Exactly. And then you set it to music. And opera, the only difference between opera and oratorio is that opera is acted. And opera doesn't necessarily need to be biblical. Oratorio is biblical, you know. And then opera, the opera can be love stories, what exactly. And then as you mentioned, cantata is also a storyline, sort of, but cantata can be shorter, you know. We have we have many types of cantatas as well, but they are all Western traditions, you know, but it can be inculcated into African music. You can write an African...
Have you done any of that?
I have an African cantata. And
Tell
I
us
have
about it.
a Western oratorio.
Oh.
Yes,
okay.
my oratorio is called Laudater Christus.
Laudater Christus.
Exactly.
Okay, what does that mean?
May Christ be praised.
May Christ be praised.
Exactly. And then the cantata talks about
Christ.
Yes,
okay.
Christ.
Yeah,
exactly.
To Lord him.
Exactly.
Okay.
May Christ be praised or Lord or something.
Yeah.
And then the cantata talks about the seasonal changes in our Christian calendar from January to December. You know, so though it's not a story, but it's systematic.
Yeah.
You know, and I have a concerto. That is a piano concerto, but the orchestra is the Pan-African Orchestra. So I use the tumpan, the petia, the bells and all that. So it's pure African concerto. You know, and I have a sonata.
Oh, okay, what's that
piano.
one?
Yes, that one is also for a solo instrument.
Okay.
So sonata I have a piano sonata.
Okay.
You know, yes.
Wow. Now, talking about the concerto that you have, the African concerto that you have. Let's talk about the difference between the African tradition and the Western tradition. Are there similarities? What are the differences and similarities that you have?
There are a lot of similarities.
Okay.
Because that's what we call interculturalism in music. You know, interculturalism is like a hybrid of two worlds. So, for instance, if we are doing, even most of our music in Ghana is intercultural, actually. Even high life is intercultural because of the use of the instruments and the singing style and the chords, and even, you know, the style is intercultural. Maybe the only music that may not be intercultural is our traditional music. Let's say Addaquay and all that.
So that's very
even that
Ghanaian.
that one within Africa is intercultural, because the Abaja we know here, when you go to Nigeria, they may not call it Abaja, but they play the same thing. The high life we know here, when you go to Nigeria or anywhere else, they may call it Juju or something. So there are similarities, and the similarities are the melodies and the use of the instruments and the harmonies and all that. But then to separate it from the Western to the African, I will say that, for instance, my concerto, for instance, the African is the use of the instruments, the petia and the rhythms. I used Gabada rhythm from Volta region. I used Panlungu from Accra, and I used Addaquay from Ashanti region. You know, exactly. So the rhythms may make it African, and the melodies and the harmonies and all that. Exactly. So it's always, music is always related, actually.
Now, as somebody who, you know, sort of has dipped his feet into music a little bit, I wanted to find out from you, in terms of the scales, right? Of course, we have your major scale, minor scale, and all of that. In African music, do we have our own, you know, type of scale that is not necessarily a major scale? Because I know that the Arabs have a different scale. I know there's a pentatonic. I know the Chinese also have something that's different. I'm not sure what that is. But what's the African scale like in relation to the other ones?
Okay, thank you. We have a scale. You see, we before the Westerners came in, we had our style of harmony. The harmony for the layperson is like people singing other parts, where we have the soprano, alto, tenor, bass, and the keyboard plays harmony. Before the Westerners came, we were singing our own harmonies. But though most of them were in similar motions and all that. If I say similar motions, for instance, if we have January Imenima, January Imenima, maybe another part to do January Imenima. You know, so they follow the melody. So when the melody goes up, the other parts go up. Exactly. So that's what we call similar motions. It's later on that the Westerners taught us other motions like the contrary motions, oblique and all that. So we have our scales, you know, written, I mean, by scholars. Though some of them may not necessarily have names. We can name them as additional scale resources. A scale is, for instance, let me give you an example. Lord, you so good. Lord, you are kind of wonderful. But that one is also Western in style. Okay, in tonic solfa, he used only about 5 notes. That's the pentatonic scale. So, la, so, 2 la do la so we have do so la so mi re so we have so la do and mi re do mi re do so it's the pentatonic scale exactly so within a certain music you can pick the notes and know that no, this composer used only 6, or he used it. Then this is heptatonic. This is this exactly. So in our music, we may pick a specific, not necessarily a specific culture, but a specific music, and say that they only used 3 tones. I went to Volta region, you know, on a certain research in a shrine. And then because I'm a music scholar, so I was listening to the music and I realized they used only they were playing, I think, the flute or something, I've forgotten, and they used only 3 or 4 notes. So those notes will be the scale for that kind of music. Exactly. So we don't have a scale called African scale or Ghanaian scale. It depends on the culture and the song or the work. Then we can craft a scale out of that work.
I see. All right, now let's talk about compositions. Now, you're a composer. But not every musician composes. What's the added value of being a composer of your own music?
You know, a composer, we have many kinds of composers. But the 2 major kinds are the gifted composers and learned composers. You know, but we have many other kinds of composers. Under the gifted, we have inspirational composers. We have composers that have to wait till someone does something. Then it inspires them to do it, you know. And we have composers. So
the person may do something that's not necessarily music related, but they take inspiration from that.
For instance, when my teacher Mankwa composed Ye Yi Wa Ye, Unsa Nunjuma Ye Wanwa Dodo, Uye Ye Nyame, Ebezi Umu Oye Be Yi Wa Ye, Na Ya Kanfu Udinda, Nyame, Uye Na Bankese. My friend Professor Sechibedu in those days heard it and composed Enije Sem Kese. It's not the same, but when he heard that song, it pushed him to write Enije Sem Kese. So at times you can compose by hearing what others have done, and at times too, you can just receive it
as an inspiration.
Whether Christians will say from God, Satanists will say from Satan, and then of course, I mean, let's be realistic.
Whatever your sources,
wherever your sources, exactly. And then a learned composer, for instance, is someone who just sits and then plan the composition. You know, for instance, let me give you an example. In your work, for instance, you can decide to plan an interview with questions. And you can also decide that, okay, for this interview, I may not plan, but looking at how things will go, we will let it flow.
Go
exactly.
with the flow.
So a learned composer may plan that, okay, I want to compose a sonata, or I want to compose an oratorio, and I want to use the story of Elijah. But where should I start and where should I end? Because I can't use the whole of Elijah's story to be too long. Much, okay, then let me start from when he started here and there. Okay, here I'll make it a solo. Here I'll make it a chorus for the choir because of a certain. Here I think there will be an instrumental work, you know, talking about the war and all that. So some learned composers also plan their works, but they all work. They are all compositions. But people think that the one mistake we make is that people think every composition must be popular. It's not true. We think once you compose, the whole, you see, if you are in a country, the whole Ghana must hear. We have compositions for popular, for popular masses. You understand? But if I decide to compose not necessarily for popular masses, and I decide to compose for academic purposes, or I decide to compose for a group. Let me give you an example. There is a composer called Osei Boateng. He used to compose only for SDA churches, Seventh-day Adventists. The first composition that moved out of SDA church is Yesu Kanhu. That's how he became popular. Yesu Kanhu. Or even that one, he composed it for SDA, you know, but the music was so beautiful that it had to move, and he recorded it and all that. So what I mean is that a composer may decide to compose for a specific group of people, and the composer may also decide to compose for the general public and all that. They are all kinds of compositions, so we mustn't discourage or underestimate the levels of or types of composers, all because you think their compositions are not popular. We have a very funny way of thinking about composers.
What about musicians who don't compose? at all.
Yes.
They just perform.
Yes. That is another point. You see, people, I always hear people say, this singer, he doesn't compose. All what he does is singing people's music. No, you don't talk like that. You know, there's a way masses see music.
Yeah.
And if we don't change the attitude of, or if we don't change the mindset of the masses about music and the musicians, most musicians will die in terms of their career. You know, someone may be a singer, an excellent singer, but not necessarily a composer.
Okay.
So before he sings, he would like someone to compose for him. Someone may also be a composer, but then may not be a singer, and one may also do the two. The two. Once in a while, maybe a singer may try composing 1 or 2 songs, but it is not by force for a singer must be a composer. No, you may decide to do rendition, like I did Stella Dugan's Jimmy Tata.
Yes.
Exactly. Someone on TV will be like,
fascinating.
It's not like that. Someone may decide, when you go to the advanced countries, a pianist may decide to specialize on Beethoven only. For him, he plays only Beethoven. You can't say, oh, now they won't. And we have composers. Everyone has his role. Music is very broad. So even musicologists and all that are not known as musicians. You know, so we must respect people and their roles and stop thinking all singers must be composers, all musicians. No. It doesn't work that way.
Your typical day, what does it look like? Are you busy?
Very busy.
Really?
Yeah, very busy. Because you know, very soon I'll move into lecturing and all that. You know, and then apart from 1 or 2 businesses I do, which I will mention them later on. And you know, as a musician, I'm very busy because I have to rehearse a lot, and I get a lot of gigs here and there, but it doesn't mean you can't invite me. Someone listening may be like, oh, then he's already busy, then I don't think he's good for. No, human beings make me busy, so you can also make me busy, you know. So a lot of gigs in such a way that even during weekdays I still go on programs and all that. Even during the COVID, for instance, because the numbers were limited, someone could go like, I need a choir, but the president mentioned we need only 25 people at a space. Then they'll be like, there is a certain one man
who can do,
he can do all, so invite him. So baby sena baby you know, so so the COVID period was a period for me.
For you.
It was a good period for me because almost everyone wanted to come for me. Exactly, you know. So yes, I am busy, and I want to be more busy, but I also want to make sure that I relax during the day. At least some 2 hours sleep will be good before because you know, as a human being, no matter how busy you become, at the end of the day, if you don't get the strength to do what you are doing,
you break down. And
exactly,
then what's the point?
So
talk to us also about you know, the need to invest in preparation. You know, you talked about rehearsing and performing. A lot of people are very big on performance, but how much impact does the hours of preparation have on your output? Okay.
In my own opinion, and my suggestion, or my opinion, that is my opinion, where I have grouped musicians, or let's say performers, into 2. Two main groups. We have a performing artist, who performs music, but not necessarily, and we have a composer, or let's say a general artist whose music is out there, and who is very popular, and he has his music out there. Let me be very straight with it. Let me give an example. Let's say we have Sarkodie, or we have Stone Boy. In gospel now we have Diana Hamilton, we have Joe Metal. They are composers, or let's say they are musicians who are out there. People know their works. So when they come on stage, people are expecting to hear their songs. And we have a performer who is not necessarily popular for his composition, but he is popular for his craft as a performer. So all of them have a way of preparing for a show. So for a performer, when you are preparing for a show, you must know the one of the main things is to know the kind of audience there
that you're going to perform
exactly
to.
and because if they are old audience or it's youth or what, you must know what they like depending on what you want to do, you know,
then
and
you can deliver
exactly. But when you're a composer, people invite you because of your compositions. So of course you just go straight and sing your songs.
Dr. Addaquay, it's been fantastic conversing with you.
Thank you.
I wish we had more time. I'm going to wrap this up. How can you be reached?
You can reach my manager on, Ghanaians, when they hear manager, they start running away. Hey, manager, you can just contact my manager on 0243 233 725. 0243 233 725. And my social media handles, I'm on YouTube, Addaquay on the black and white keys. Addaquay on the black and white keys. And Facebook as well, Instagram, yes.
Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much. We've been speaking with Dr. Alfred Patrick Addaquay, and it's been a fantastic conversation.